Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including, well, I guess kind of everything animation today, actually.
Yes.
I'm Justin Cummings, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
Today, Michelle and I will be talking about this is kind of a big topic. We're going to be talking about the history of Cartoon Network short films.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the best way to title this episode. You can find all of our episodes we've done on a variety of shows at overlyanimated.com or by searching Overly Animated on iTunes, your favorite podcatcher, or YouTube/overlyanimated. So, Michelle, this is going to be kind of a weird episode for us. We don't usually do history kind of episodes.
Yeah.
But we're going to look basically at all of the times that Cartoon Network has done short film projects where they'll have a title banner and make a whole bunch of shorts under that. Some of them will get made into full shows, some won't. We're going to look at what shows got made, what these different projects were, and kind of how we got from the first era of cartoons to today.
Okay. That's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot, and we're going to try to do this in a reasonable amount of time, which is going to be really interesting. So, back in the early days of Cartoon Network, you probably know about this. What was Cartoon Network mostly when it started?
I feel so bad. Okay, spoilers, I guess, for young me. I watched a lot more 90s Nick than I did 90s Cartoon Network. But let me guess. Can I guess what their early stuff was?
You kind of knowing about what...
I'm going to say, what would come to mind is Dexter's Laboratory.
Pre-Dexter's Laboratory, pre any cartoons. When it started, they didn't have any original shows.
They didn't have any original shows?
When they started, it was nothing but reruns.
Reruns? So Scooby-Doo and
it was all Hanna-Barbera. There was Popeye. There was...
Oh, Popeye. Okay.
Not Hanna-Barbera, but I think some of those were in public domain by then. So it was... Because I want to say that Cartoon Network was started by Hanna-Barbera, if I remember correctly.
Is that should we check the...
That, of all the research I did, that is the one part I did not actually look up. But yeah, so basically at the beginning, Cartoon Network was mostly just syndication of it was a network of cartoons. They're owned by Turner. I know that much.
They are Turner. Well, now we're owned by AT&T, but still under the umbrella of Turner. It's all very complicated.
So basically... yes. So basically, it started from Turner. At the time, Turner owned the MGM Cartoon Library, all pre-1948 Looney Tune and Merry Medleys, the Fleischer Studios Popeye, and then they bought Hanna-Barbera in 91. And so they launched Cartoon Network in 1992 because they had so much animation and they wanted a place to air it. So... Yes, it used Hanna-Barbera. It was not owned by Hanna-Barbera. It was owned by Turner. Turner Broadcasting is the official.
Yeah, Turner Broadcasting.
Yeah. So it was started as just a place to rerun old cartoons.
That was my question. So Cartoon Network's origin story is that it was basically a syndication incubator for old-timey cartoons, but there were no original programming at all?
At the beginning, it was no original programming. No.
Interesting. Okay.
Do you know fun fact, do you know the very first originally created Cartoon Network character?
Character? Not show, just character?
Well, he had a show-ish.
Ish.
He had one of those, wraparound shows.
Wraparound show.
Where, he would intro the show and leave the show.
It's probably not like Johnny Bravo, right?
No. Have you ever heard of Moxie, the dog?
Moxie? Does he look weird?
Very weird.
Moxie, I'm looking him up. Maybe
M-O-X-Y.
No, wait. Maybe I do know him, but very ambiguously. Did he have a real show, or is he just still like a host?
He was like a host.
Okay. Yeah, he brings back slight memories, but nothing substantial.
No.
Sorry, Moxie.
Basically, well, actually, he popped up in the OK KO crossover last year.
Oh,
he was one of the statues.
They got them all, man. They
I
were
was
very
so proud.
meticulous. Yeah.
But so basically, this was the first time they had their own original show. And it was basically a wraparound of, he was introduced old cartoons, and eventually they decided that this whole format would work really well of having like this animation anthology, like a designated curated time slot. And so they decided to commission a whole bunch of newer creators to make original shorts. And the result was What a Cartoon. And I know you've heard that name.
I have definitely heard that name.
So, What a Cartoon, made by Fred Seibert, basically, who'd go on to make Frederator Studios, which we've all heard of Frederator. Like, they've had their hands in just about everything at this point.
Yeah.
The very first ever What a Cartoon short was Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, really? And
Yes.
this was back when Craig McCracken wanted to call them the Whoop Girls or something like that.
So that was actually done as his student thesis in college.
Okay.
This was the first pilot. They were called the Powerpuff Girls in this pilot.
Okay.
They were never called that on television. They never had any.
That's fair.
So yeah, the very first short to air on What a Cartoon was Powerpuff Girls. Wasn't the first one to be turned into a full show though. What a Cartoon ran for about 40 shorts. It was supposed to be like 80. It only ran about half of the length it was supposed to, and 6 full-length shows stemmed out of What a Cartoon. I'm gonna let you guess.
Was that the goal?
What?
Was that the goal? I just want to know, was that the goal of it? They were like, oh, we'll give all these creative young minds a chance and we'll pick the top promising ones and turn them into our own original content. Or did it just kind of happen?
I think they definitely...
out of this anthology experiment organically.
It seems like they definitely wanted at least a couple good results out of it. I think they were at first happy with just, we're going to air these shorts, get some original content out there, get people creating. But I think once they realized, because I believe Johnny Bravo was the first one to actually get picked up for series.
Oh, okay.
Powerpuff Girls aired first, but Johnny Bravo went to series first. Once that aired, they were like, ooh, this can work.
Ew, yeah.
6 shows stem from What a Cartoon.
Okay, I can guess.
Can you guess what they are? I've given you 2.
Powerpuff, Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Lab.
That's 3.
Okay, old school. Courage, the Cowardly Dog?
And interestingly enough, the original short of Courage was nominated for the Oscar for Best Short.
That's amazing! I haven't seen it. It must
Chicken
be
from
good,
Outer
though.
Space. It's very good.
Oh, is Cow and Chicken...
Cow
is
and
that
Chicken?
a Nick show?
Cow and Chicken's Cartoon Network, and that was from
Alright.
What a Cartoon. And the last one you're not going to get, I'll give you a hint, it's not a Cartoon Network show.
Is it Nickelodeon?
It is not a Nickelodeon show. It is a Fox series.
What?
And it's still going.
It's still going?
It's still
okay,
going.
give me another hint. What's like the genre
Comedy.
of... No! It doesn't count.
Talking Dog.
Talking Dog? Clifford?
The show I'm referring to is Family Guy.
No! Wait, that was that old? Really?
In 1995, or I can't remember what, I think it was 96 when it actually came out. It's very famous at this point. It is a short called Larry and Steve. It was created by Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy, and it follows a very dumb old man who is the only person who can understand this talking dog named not Brian, Steve.
Steve.
No. Yeah, Steve's the dog, Larry's the human. And the voices that Seth does, he does all the voices. The voices he does for Larry and Steve are the Peter and Brian voices to a T.
Wow.
The dog is sarcastic, he is cynical, he talks to the camera, the show breaks the fourth wall. It's very prototypical Family Guy. And whenever I show people this short, they're like, okay, it's made by Seth MacFarlane, he's doing kind of the same voices. The Brian voice especially is the same.
Yeah.
And they're like, but how do we really know that he was already thinking of Family Guy at this point? They go to a department store in this short called Stewie's.
Wow.
And that is when you know that this short led to the idea for Family Guy. It all kind of stemmed out of this.
That's wild.
It's great because the thing is, it's a totally clean, fine cartoon for kids. And it led to Family Guy.
It led to Family Guy. Cartoon could have had it, and I don't know.
Like, imagine what would happen if a Larry and Steve show got made instead of Family Guy.
Oh man, it would be such a different world. That would have changed everything.
It would have been different. I don't even want to think. What would Simpsons have crossed over with? Like, if we didn't have the Simpsons guy, what would we? So I do want to talk about a couple other shorts that didn't go to series. The first one is Fish and Chips. Fish spelled Pfish. It's about it's about a bomb defusal squad who's absolutely terrible at their job.
What? A bomb defusal squad.
A shark and a Scottish cat.
Oh, actually, that sounds great.
It's hilarious. And it was co-created, or it was directed and co-created by Butch Hartman.
Oh, so this is pre-Fairly Odd Parents.
This is pre-Fairly Odd Parents. This is about late 1995, early 1996.
Oh my god! You see, like in my brain, I feel like the show already existed then, but
yep. Fairly Odd Parents would begin as a short for Oh Yeah cartoons, which Fred Seibert made after he stopped making What a Cartoon.
Right, that's the Nickelodeon one, right?
Yes. So basically, he went to Nickelodeon, was like, "Hey, Butch, we work together over at Cartoon Network. Come make a new short," and it got picked up for that series that time.
Well, if first you don't succeed, clearly.
Try again.
Yeah.
Very interestingly, all of the What a Cartoon shorts were original properties except two that were both same short. They were the same characters, but it was a spin-off of the Flintstones.
A spin-off with who? Like
they tried to make a Dino show.
That's the dog thing, right?
Yes, the purple dinosaur dog.
That's a terrible idea. Why would they do that? Like, he can't have a whole show.
What was big in the 90s? We had Cat Dog, Ren and Stimpy. Animal shows were everywhere in the 90s.
Yeah, they had the Beaver show. Oh, well, Clifford was kind of, he was like the family safe dog for every child. I think he was kind of a special case. Like, some parents wouldn't let kids watch Ren and Stimpy, which is probably a good call. That show was a lot. There were a lot of animal shows. Even, I guess, would Wild Thornberrys count just because there are so many animals in that show? Okay, no, there is a trend for sure.
But no, I've seen the first Dino short. He's trying to get the little saber-toothed cat kitten to stay outside. It's cute. It's definitely Hanna-Barbera. It's that very old school, and I believe that one was actually done by Barbera. Because they were still around. Joseph Barbera was still around. Which the next short I wanted to mention is Wind Up Wolf, which is the last short that William Hanna ever made.
Aw, is it literally just like a toy wolf present from a child?
I have not gotten to watch it yet, unfortunately.
Is it very hard to find secret old project?
Some of them can be harder to track down than others, but the fact that, like, I forget that the actual creators, Hanna and Barbera, were still around in the 90s. Like, they were still making stuff. And, like, you watch a Dino and then go watch Courage the Cowardly Dog. And it's two different eras.
Oh, yeah? Ew.
Well, I mean, because Dino, like, had they done the Dino spinoff in, like, the 70s or the 80s, it would have probably lasted 4 seasons. But the 90s was just a different time.
Different time? What would you characterize the 90s animation like? If it were adjectives to describe it, what would be those adjectives?
I hate to say extreme, spelled X-Treme, but...
That's so right! In some kind of really, like, California skater
tried to be edgy, like, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to be edgy.
Man, or brah, yeah,
bruh.
Totally, yeah. I think that's definitely so true.
Like, look at
we're extreme.
Look at like Dexter's even Dexter's, which is definitely a more innocuous, clean kind of show. It still had its wry humor, and I mean, yeah, that was around earlier on, but these shows of the 90s hit it a little less.
Oh, totally.
And I feel like Dino would have fit in a lot more if it had aired, like, right after Baby Muppets or Muppet Babies right before a pup named Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, were those 80s cartoons?
That was late 80s into the
Okay.
beginning of the 90s.
Yeah, I guess they tie more to classic sensibilities than the 90s in that way. That's true. Because, like, I think about, like, Rugrats. Rugrats just was definitely the dawn of a new era in terms of kids' cartoons in a bizarrely memorable way.
And they're, are they rebooting it, I believe?
What?
They're doing something with Rugrats now. They're making Nickelodeon just got a new president. Look into it, everyone listening. He's got some big plans, basically.
He's got some big plans?
Well, he gave a whole speech about how...
happen?
This press conference was... I want to say November.
Wow!
Basically, he gave a whole spiel about how, we can still get kids to watch Nickelodeon. Like, yeah, we have more competition now. We have YouTube, we have stuff like that, but if we give kids good content, they will watch. And so Nickelodeon has a lot of stuff coming up. He wants to do SpongeBob spin-offs.
But aren't they canceling that? Like, I swear I heard this and I believed it, that they are finally canceling SpongeBob for realsies.
They might be, but perfect time to do a spin-off then.
Please let it be, like... Oh my god, what's Plankton's wife's name?
Karen.
Is it Karen? Please do a Karen spinoff. I would watch that. Just Karen and the My Leg guy forever.
Slightly off topic, but another show they have already greenlit and will air this fall. They're rebooting Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader for Nickelodeon.
Oh,
hosted by John Cena.
Whoa.
Yeah, so Nickelodeon's got a new direction. Huh. So Nickelodeon's going to look a little different in like a year.
They're rebooting all that. That's the one decision that I'm 110% behind. Like, I feel bad.
And Kenan Thompson is producing.
Nick. Oh, man. Oh, I'm so excited. That was like one of my favorite shows as a kid. It was so funny.
And speaking of shows that led to other shows, all that did have multiple spin-offs.
Yeah, Amanda's show, Kenan and Kel, like all that stuff was so good. Like it was the birthplace of so many brilliant children's careers, for sure.
The next short we do want to talk about, this one's, it's not great, but it is memorable. Strange Things is the only computer animated short they did.
Oh, is it real sketchy 90s early animation?
It's
like 3D?
Not the best.
Oh boy, it sounds great. What's the plot?
I have no idea. I literally noted it for its technical achievement alone.
Oh no! Okay, maybe that's all they're going for.
The last one I wanted to mention from What a Cartoon is Malcolm and Melvin. There were two of them. And these are weird because they're not that bad. Like, they're average. They were made by Ralph Bakshi, who I adore. He's not known for his kids' work, just like Seth MacFarlane. Except... Seth started with Larry and Steve and then made Family Guy. Ralph Bakshi has been around since like the 70s.
Wow.
And he made Fritz the Cat, the first ever X-rated animated film.
Fritz the Cat! I've heard a lot about... Wait, I might have seen Fritz the Cat. Does it take place in like either the 60s or the 70s?
Everyone thinks it's going to be like some really scandalous, dirty movie. No, it's just about a depressed college kid.
Yeah, it's kind of political in a way. Not like in a way, definitely political.
Whenever people hear that it's X-rated, they're like, ooh, and I'm like, no. This is back when NC-17 didn't exist. X was NC-17. So, like, it's adult, but it's not what you're thinking it is. It's kind of a dry movie. It's kind of a dry movie. But yeah, so he made that kind of stuff, and then here he is making, he also made the animated Hobbit film.
That thing's amazing!
And here he is, one of his later works, and he actually disowned both of these.
Oh no!
He's like, no, I don't like them, I think they're awful, and I'm like, they're not that bad, Ralph, but...
Everyone has a rough patch, don't worry, bro. It's not your fault.
After What a Cartoon stopped, they eventually started a new program called the Cartoon Show in about the year 2000. And we're going to get to that and the 6 shows that spun out of that. But first, side note, the first ever Canadian show to air on Cartoon Network was in 1996, and it was called Oh Canada.
It is called Oh Canada? That's the
Have you heard of it?
thing. No!
Oh Canada
Oh my gosh.
was a
I thought you were gonna
collection.
say drama. It's the
No.
only Canadian show I can remember from
No.
cartoon.
Way before Total Drama, my friend.
Oh, Canada.
It was a collection of short films.
Okay.
It was like an anthology that would air. All the films were award winners in Canada.
Okay.
And were selected by the National Film Board of Canada.
Wow.
These are
that's
all
so
award-winning, like,
awesome.
independent animations, like, brilliant, like, really
Amazing.
weird art styles.
Yeah.
If you can track down any of it, or some of the shorts are readily available from the National Film Board of Canada, like, track this stuff down. If you want to look at, like, award-winning, like, independent animation of the mid to late 90s, like, this is the place to look. And
I want to.
it aired
Absolutely.
Monday morning, so Sunday night at 12:30 a.m.
That's perfect for children. Yes, that's when we're watching cartoons.
Well, this was not for children. Some of it was appropriate, but some of it was very
inspire the children.
It was very. A lot of kids would probably find it dull.
Oh,
like I watched one called Strings, where I'm like, what's going on? Yeah.
Okay.
Like it ain't winning popular. It ain't winning the Kids' Choice Awards.
Okay.
But it's weird because
yeah.
Oh, you would love it. And I look back at this.
My life.
To me, this is almost the forerunner of like Adult Swim.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Them being like, I mean, I'm probably the first person to say like, oh, Canada led to Adult Swim but the idea of let's put some really weird independent stuff late at night.
Mm-hmm.
Less restrictions on what we're allowed to air. Let's do something experimental. Like, look at the stuff that Adult Swim's aired over the years. Like, Too Many Cooks, other, like, the infomercial stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They do some weird stuff that they can get away with because it is in such a weird time slot where they're not competing for ratings.
That's true.
They're doing what are they competing against? Reruns of the Golden Girls. Like,
yeah.
They're fine. Like, and especially because I'm like, a curated collection of shows from another country airing around midnight. Toonami? I mean, Toonami, of course, started as an afternoon block, like back in the 90s, Dragon Ball. But, like, look at the current Toonami. It's basically just the popular version of O Canada. Like, it's just weird to me how things come full circle. Mm-hmm. And O Canada led to one show, Bob and Margaret, which aired on... Margaret, not sure. Aired on Comedy Central. Probably Margaret. Aired on Comedy Central right around the year 2000.
Okay. Was this live action or
animated?
Okay.
Only show to spin out of that. That's just my fun little aside. But after What a Cartoon, we had the Cartoon Show. And this had 6 more shows.
So again, is this the same idea? Like they grabbed a bunch of young talented people and said, give us your short concepts and we'll see if they have what it takes to make a full show.
This time, it was much more competitive about one of you will get a show.
Oh, so it's
this was the You Pick era. You remember this probably.
Let's see. Maybe I do.
Like they would do like the summer of You Pick where like they would air actually, You Pick might be a specific term from Nick. They blend together. But basically, they would air like 8 shorts each summer, and people would vote, and one of them would get made into a full show. Some of the runners-ups also ended up as shows, but one was guaranteed a spot. So they made a lot less of these. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
You're not going to get some of these shows because they did not become as popular. Mike, Lou, and Og.
What? What is that? Explain.
It's a show about these 3, like, islandy cave people named Mike, Lou, and Og. Og
is clearly the best from name alone.
That's the best show.
It's the best show.
You might remember Sheep in the Big City.
I remember, like, I don't remember watching it, but I remember the title, Sheep in the Big City.
Whatever Happened to Robot Jones.
That sounds vaguely familiar also.
That was my jam as a kid.
Really?
That was my jam.
What's it about?
It's about this robot named Robot Jones who, it's very crudely animated. It's very, like, a lot of, you can still see, like, the sketch line, stuff like that. Kind of that, the style. Like that that late 90s, early 2000s style of, like, let's look super, like, rough and indie.
Yeah.
It's
That's
cool. It's a cool show. He just goes to school. That's it. He's a robot in school.
He's a robot in school. That's all you need.
The first season, they actually just straight up used a text-to-speech converter as his voice actor.
Oh, that's hilarious. Did it work?
People didn't really relate to it well enough, so in season 2 they actually did use a voice actor instead. It's hard to find the text-to-speech versions of episodes because they redubbed, but yeah, I love that they straight up used a circa 2001 Mac text-to-speech converter as his voice actor.
They went there.
It was brilliant. And then the 3 ones you may have heard of, or that you've probably heard of. Billy and Mandy.
Yeah! Wait, what? Wait, what was the time period for this?
2000 to 2002.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy started airing in what?
Like 2001.
Like 2004. Oh, really? Was that early? Wow.
Yep.
Okay, the older I get, my time frame of when shows happen just completely changes from reality.
It's gonna really mess you up. Starting in 2002 was Codename Kids Next Door.
Oh, man! I'm so glad those shows made it so
Those
good.
shows are so good. Codename Kids Next Door is weird because it started, like, kind of just episodic and grew a universe.
Oh, really?
Like, by the end, its universe was actually really complex. You had, like, double agents.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good show. And the final one that did spin out of Cartoon Show was Mega's XLR.
That sounds familiar too, but I honestly don't know if I've ever seen it.
It's people piloting robot mechs, like.
Okay, I definitely didn't see it.
Imagine a little bit more redneck Symbionic Titan.
Oh, wow.
And that's about right. It's about right. So, the point is, from like 1995 to 2002, that was how Cartoon Network original shows got made.
Okay.
Like, those, not counting Family Guy because that didn't air on Cartoon Network, but Powerpuff Girls, Dexter, Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, Courage, Mike, Lou and Og, Sheep in the Big City, Billy and Mandy, Robot Jones, Kids Next Door, Mega's XLR. What's missing from that list? I Am Weasel,
Ed, Ed
and Eddie is like the one missing from that list.
Yeah.
But like, I Am Weasel spun out of Cow and Chicken. Evil Con Carne spun out of Billy and Mandy. Like, a lot of Samurai Jack, Gendy, Dexter's.
Right.
Look a little later,
start with Dexter.
Foster's Home, Craig McCracken, Powerpuff.
Yeah, that in Foster's Home wasn't until like 2004 or 5.
That was 2004.
Right?
But like this setup, like these, What a Cartoon and Cartoon Show basically set up kind of the first era of Cartoon Network and the creators of the next era.
Totally. Oh yes, this is when the trees start. The family trees of employees on this first show, and they make their own show, and that leads to more shows.
Exactly.
This is great. Okay.
So we're gonna leap ahead a little bit. Have you ever heard of Cartoonstitute?
No.
What
is that?
It is the Cartoon Institute.
So you go to school to learn how to make cartoons just for Cartoon Network?
It was basically a marked off area of Cartoon Network dedicated to creators making their first Cartoon Network pilots.
Oh, they still do that. But this was like maybe the first.
This was about 2010-ish?
Okay. Cartoonstitute.
Actually, a little earlier. Would have been like 2008 was when this was like created.
Okay.
There were supposed to be more made. Only 14 shorts were ever made. Most of them have been uploaded online, but basically, compared to What a Cartoon, this kind of flopped as a project.
Oh no!
Only
and why
14...
do you think that is?
I think this happened at a really weird time, where What a Cartoon, yeah, you would watch it on Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
Cartoonstitute, people weren't really wanting to tune in.
They didn't know what it was? Yeah.
They didn't want to tune in for a random short that they've never heard of before at this point. Because at this point, when What a Cartoon started, it was Bugs Bunny, Flintstones. Ooh, what's this Johnny Bravo happening tonight?
Yeah.
It was something special. Whereas now,
more
all Cartoon Network's original or acquired from, like, other new stuff. Like, it wasn't syndication anymore. And if it was syndication, it was Cartoon Network syndication. And,
Okay.
And YouTube wasn't quite what it is now either.
Yeah, 2008, definitely. It was still like a pretty free range platform.
I think had they put them online then, it may have worked. But I think they were in a really awkward period where they didn't know what to do with these. And we're going to talk in a little bit about kind of what they do now. But at this point in time, it was just a weird, awkward time period. And yeah, only 14 of the proposed, like, they were going to do like 37, only 14 got made.
Oh, wow.
I think 11 of them have been uploaded now by Cartoon Network. The last 3 are not officially uploaded. They might be available, they might not. However, 3 shows did happen because of Cartoon Institute.
Okay.
One of the shorts that was made was Uncle Grandpa.
Oh, okay.
And Uncle Grandpa led to 2 shows. Do you remember the other one?
So I'm guessing, wait, I thought there were 3 that made it. There are only 2?
There were 2 pilots made 3 shows.
I'm guessing Clarence is the other one.
The other pilot?
Yeah.
No.
What,
but do you know what other shows?
Bears?
You are way too early. You're way too late. You're way too late.
Okay. Uncle Grandpa.
What other? Do you
2008.
Do you remember what show happened from Uncle Grandpa? Because Uncle Grandpa was not picked up from its own pilot at first.
Oh, God, I didn't know that at all. I've not had my tabs on Uncle Grandpa.
They made an Uncle Grandpa pilot. The villains got their own show, Secret Mountain Fort Awesome.
Oh, that show.
That one happened, yeah.
That surprises me that.
And then after that got canceled, then they're like, well, maybe we should have actually made what the show was.
Yeah.
The other pilot you may have heard of was a little something called Regular Show.
Wow! 2008! Oh boy. That feels forever ago.
8 was when the project started, so I think Regular Show started in like 2010.
Oh, that's actually true, yeah. It's true.
So
pre-Adventure Time.
The fact that, I mean, Uncle Grandpa did fine. Secret Mountain Fort Awesome did not do that well, but the fact that Regular Show came out of it, like...
Yeah, that's worth it, for sure.
And at this time, there was basically 2 juggernauts in 2010. Mm-hmm. It was Adventure Time and Regular Show.
Yeah.
And we were talking before the episode about where Adventure Time came from.
Mm-hmm.
Also, from a short series, from from Random Cartoons.
Random Cartoons. So what is
not
Random Cartoons?
Random was Fred Seibert rebooting Oh Yeah Cartoons on Nickelodeon.
So this is... Wait.
Okay.
Since it's the 3rd iteration he's been involved with up to this point in the timeline.
Yes.
Okay. What a cartoon, then Oh Yeah, then Random. Okay.
He's been involved, I think there were others that were like online only, but as far as television, that was the order, yes.
Okay.
He would later do Go Cartoons for Cartoon Hangover, which is, I think that's over.
Oh, is it over now?
Go Cartoons, I think, was
4 years ago, but yeah, maybe it is over now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Random Cartoons is where Adventure Time came from. Nick passed on it twice before it went to Cartoon Network, so...
Wait, it went to them twice? So they're like, oh wait, we maybe we want it, bring it back.
Nick turned it down 2 times.
Sweater. Oh, it's so funny.
Before Cartoon Network was like, you know what, that looks really good. So,
Yay.
The 2 juggernauts of this era still came out of these cartoon incubators, these ideas of collecting these shorts, not just randomly pitched pilots, but like an idea of trying to make the next generation of writers in one area.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can look at it a little more cynically than we have. We've been like, oh wow, like, these made so many great shows, but also it's like, let's gather all the new guys so that the new shows are ours.
Absolutely! And I know Cartoon has some kind of new program, like their next hurrah in terms of like cultivating their young talent to pitch shows. And like it does feel a bit like, you know, on the one hand, like great, you know, give them these resources to realize their fullest potential, but also it's like, you're already with us. Don't you want to stay and keep your show in our network? I mean, like, you know, it's a smart business move, but it is interesting that, you know, yeah, you can definitely look at it both ways.
Because, I mean, think about it. Like, even stuff like Fish and Chips. Like, we were talking about Butch and Hartman's first short he did over at Cartoon Network. that's technically owned by Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Like, he made it for them, that's theirs. Whereas nowadays, especially, you've got a lot of people just doing indie animated stuff on, YouTube and Vimeo. We have, coming up later this year, of course, is Welcome to the Has-Been Hotel. And
yes! And I'm so excited about that.
Had this been a different era, that would have started as a short on What a Cartoon. Like, let's be real, like, the options for pilots airing was, you couldn't just self-publish the way that you can now. And I think the idea of, well, we'll give you the tools and we'll publish it too. It's almost like it's what we're seeing in books now as well, with like self-publishing becoming an option, and publishers have to basically give incentives.
Totally, because I feel like anyone who's creative now, who feels the pressure of having their own social media presence, you become your own personal brand very quickly. And it is up to you and only you to manage that brand to the best of your abilities. And it is, I imagine, very exhausting and time consuming and never ending, but it is something you have a lot of control over. And if you're able to sustain that with something like Patreon or YouTube, you might not necessarily need a bigger company to give you support, but also have their fingerprints all over your stuff and potentially change it in a way that makes sense for their own network look. So yeah, it's a different world now for sure. And I'm sure it has changed the game in a lot of ways.
And I genuinely think that What a Cartoon especially changed the game. Like that notion of like a series of short pilots, because then in 2012 or 2013 Smosh started doing their own animations.
Did they really?
Yeah, it was called Shut Up Cartoons.
Smosh is huge now.
They were huge then. They were the number one. This was before PewDiePie passed them as number one YouTuber. Wow. So when they started their own animation imprint, it's not, there was some good stuff there. Planets was pretty funny. Show about the planets, just hanging out. If you ever saw a Oishi High School Battle, that was really good. Not for the kiddos, but very, very good. Okay. Did you ever see Son of Zorn on Fox?
No. What is that?
It's a sitcom about basically He-Man settling down with a wife and kids.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the battle hero is animated, everyone else is live action.
Oh!
This was imagine that, but like, My Life as a Teenage Robot. She's basically basically like a magical girl anime protagonist in a normal high school.
That sounds actually great. I would watch that.
It's really funny. Not for the youngins, but it's a very funny show, and that kind of this kind of weird stuff I think really started from What a Cartoon, helped really start this next era. And so, yeah, I'm glad Regular Show happened. Fun fact about Cartoon Institute. The name was made by Lauren Faust.
Really?
The name and logo was done by Lauren Faust, yeah.
That was nice of her. Why did she do it for Cartoon?
What was she doing in 2008? Because this was pre My Little Pony, when she kind of, she'd already done stuff. She might have been
pitching things, though. I feel like she was pitching things forever.
I don't know her history pre-MLP as much as I should. I know that she worked on Foster's Home.
Oh, yeah, no, actually she did, yeah. She and Craig
I know her and Craig worked together a lot, which is why it made sense for her to have her own show.
Was she a co-creator for Foster's?
I want to say she was at least co-writer, she might have co-creation credit.
Because I feel like it was probably her... just because I know Rebecca Sugar was always touted as the first solo female creator, but that implies there was somebody else who was a co, and it had to have been Lauren.
Yeah,
I feel like Foster's must have been that chance, but I don't know off the top of my head.
She was an animator on Powerpuff and Foster's Home. I don't know if she shares co-creation rights with that.
Okay, she helped develop it with Craig and Mike Moon. Craig technically created it. She also wrote a bunch on it. Okay. Well, that still leaves me with questions then.
Fun fact.
She also produced it.
She was. Oh, she was a producer.
Yeah.
Her first Cartoon Network job was actually she did the walk cycles for the pilot of Codename Kids Next Door.
That is so cool.
So,
oh man, she started off on a good show.
So it all and then she was a storyboard artist, writer, director on Powerpuff Girls.
Oh right, that's when they met. That's true, yeah.
And so it kind of became like a whole thing. Like, and see, that's what we're talking about is like all these creators kind of then commingling, meeting each other, spinning off. Like, we talk about like the animation family tree of today of like how many shows have spun out of it Adventure Time creator wise.
And before that, like Flapjack, I feel like was really the precursor to Adventure Time's family tree, but also like Alex Hirsch and Regular Show, like all those creators started at Flapjack. It is really cool how that happens, right? If you have the right environment and a good enough role model helming a show to give you enough trust and creative freedom to just kind of make an episode your own, you do feel really confident that you could do it yourself on a larger scale. That's really cool.
And so that kind of leads us right into this new era that we're in now. I know that they officially now call them the Cartoon Network Minis.
Right, yeah.
But I remember they put the Steven Universe pilot on their YouTube at one point.
Oh, yes, they did. They put it on Facebook first, and then they took it off after a couple months. It was in the summer of 2013.
Yes.
Yeah, it was 2013. Because I remember seeing it. I was working at school over the summer, and I was like, this is amazing.
Did you know at the time how much that pilot would change your life?
Oh, no way. I mean, I know by that point I kind of had my eye on Rebecca just because I was like, wow, whenever she involves in an episode of Adventure Time, it feels really cool somehow. And when I found out she's making her own show, I was like, oh, whatever it is, it's going to be good. But that pilot was just, I mean, at the time, they're just that kind of tone and flavor. And I know like the designs changed so much, but just like, I don't know, seeing the crystal gems for the first time was so cool. It just felt very magical and special. And you could feel the lore just like in there that was waiting to be explored already. And it was a freaking pilot. So, yeah, I did not know, but it was a good time watching it.
I remember I'd seen the pilot and I started seeing the trailers for the show and everyone I knew was like, this is going to be stupid, this is going to be stupid. And I'm like, no.
Oh my God, no.
I knew that Cartoon Network was just, I knew that the marketing was, because it wasn't being marketed as like, this show will make you feel so many emotions. It was being marketed.
Absolutely not.
It was being marketed as Cookie Cat.
I know. And even before that, I remember like the first promo poster they released before the pilot with the canon designs of like Steven on the couch and the crystal gems behind him. I was like, I saw like this pudgy boy in this bag of chips in this couch, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be a show making fun of a fat kid who's the main protagonist. This is gonna be terrible. Like, I wanted to trust Rebecca, but I was like, oh no, like why are there chips there? Like, what does this mean? But
were they chips or were they chaps?
They were chaps before I knew about chaps. But like once the pilot came out, like I was sold. And even when we got the official designs and everyone freaked out, I was like, no, like, it's going to be cool. There are three ladies. It's going to be cool. We need this show right now.
And yeah, like that, I liked it from the moment I saw it, and I did not know that would lead to me becoming a podcaster, but it did.
Things happen, man.
And that to me, when they started, because they put that and the Uncle Grandpa, the newer pilot for Uncle Grandpa, they put that on YouTube as well. And that was when I was like, okay, Cartoon Network is letting us in again. Like, they're letting us see what's going on. They're letting us see the future again, which is what a cartoon was.
Yeah.
They were letting us see the pilots. They were letting us see things that may not become full shows, but they were letting the walls down again. They're letting us look in and see what was in production.
Had they not been doing that much in the like handful of years leading up to 2013?
I mean, think about it. Like I said, eventually the Cartoon Institute stuff went online, but at first it didn't air.
Okay.
And so after 2002, pretty much when you saw a show, it was because the show was debuting. It was much less of these. This could become a show, and it was much more. You will see the show when the show is ready.
Right. Much more immediate, much more certain. Okay.
And that kind of leads us to this new era of the Cartoon Network minis. And so, for today, I specifically had you rewatch Welcome to My Life and Infinity Train.
Yeah.
Let's start with Welcome to My Life. What do you think of it? It's so good.
It's so good. And I say that, I mean, the style kind of reminded me of just, you know, how Gumball, the show, the music Gumball, they love using like real pictures and then integrating animated characters within that very like hyper realistic sort of setting. It feels similar to that, but I think it makes so much sense for this short just because the conversations feel like this, like a real person sat down with a real lady and had an interview about their day in high school. I definitely love seeing it animated, but it feels so natural. It's like you kind of forget that it's animated, which is crazy because it's about like a kid who's actually a monster. But it feels so natural and relatable that way that I love that every background is just like a snapshot of an actual house, like an actual street, an actual high school. It's really special.
Right. It's one of those things that's just so I'm surprised that it's not actually really connected to Amazing World of Gumball, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, Elizabeth Ito is the creator of the short. She was a former writer and supervising director on Adventure Time.
Oh, very cool.
And so basically, Welcome to My Life had been a pilot she had made on her own back in 2004 as her senior project at Cal Arts.
Yeah.
And so basically they had her kind of remake this. And it would have been the third show created by a woman for Cartoon Network after Steven Universe and Summer Camp Island.
Totally.
Fun fact about this, the bully in that, Ian.
Yeah, Ian! It's so easy to hear his voice. It's so particular.
Yeah, is Ian Jones, Cordy. So brilliant.
So brilliant. Good job, Ian, getting your voice out there in different projects.
And so currently it is the second most viewed short that Cartoon Network has put out.
You know, it honestly doesn't surprise me because there's something so naturally relatable to it. Like I would watch that show, and I can imagine like people saying, "Oh, this show doesn't feel right for cartoon." But I think what they mean by that is cartoon should be for kids ages 6 to 11 and no older. But I think a lot of teenagers or, you know, early post-pubescent children would really like the show. And I think that's like, that gets into bigger issues with like, what does Cartoon Network think its identity is? And is that going to evolve over time? I mean, I think the Infinity Train might be a good progression into them letting older audiences exist under their umbrella. And if that's the case, like maybe they can pick it up later if Infinity Train is successful enough. I mean, because like you're saying, people obviously relate to it. They watch the heck out. Yeah, it's like over 3 million views on YouTube at this point, right?
Yeah, and it's up there.
It came out in 2017. It's not that old.
What I loved about it is also it deals with like, because I mean, monster is the fact that like it's a family of monsters is like very thinly veiled. It's about being the other. It's about whatever racial identity, religious identity, whatever you want to substitute into there is. Not saying that those people are monsters, but that monsterness and otherness has been used since like the beginning of film as metaphor. I mean, look at District 9 from 2009. Like that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And like to see a Cartoon Network short like this dealing with like not just racism but like integration and like growing up and like today is a bit more accepting. Not perfect, but it's more than it was when his parents were coming up. And it's a very interesting episode to pick apart. And I love that it still has that DIY, even though it's so pretty, so pretty. pretty much all of the cast is not, like, professional voice actors.
No, they're just other Burbank cartoon folks that, like, probably just were friends with Elizabeth and wanted to be a part of the project.
I mean,
and she thought we did it.
The main character, I couldn't find a page to follow, but is apparently Doug
Brother?
Ito. So I'm assuming either brother, son, husband, something.
Yeah.
Like, just family member.
Like her mom was probably the real mom that she had. Like, yeah, you look at all those Ito last names, and you're like, oh man, she used her real family. That's super cool.
I mean, the best friend, Lucas, was played by Cole Sanchez, who has an Emmy, an Emmy nomination that he shared with Rebecca Sugar for Simon and Marcy.
Yeah.
They co-storyboarded that. Like, they met, obviously, on Adventure Time, where they worked together, like, and it's just so interesting, like you said, you follow that train. He's currently on Summer Camp Island, supervising producer.
Yes! So many Adventure Time people went to summer camp after Adventure Time ended, and you can see how it affects the tone of the show, in a really good way. It's lovely, though.
Do you know what short has been viewed more times than, Welcome to My Life?
I'm guessing it's Infinity Train.
It's Infinity Train. I mean, this one kind of took the world by storm, and I think Infinity Train kind of proved, like, oh hey, we can do this again. We can do these. And there were other shorts that I recommend watching. Obviously Victor and Valentino has also been picked up for show.
Totally.
I'm so surprised Forever 13 has not been picked up for show.
Forever 12, I was so
Forever
mad.
12, that was it.
Yeah, Julia Vickerman had a great pilot. It was so good. I was so into it. But, Netflix got in there and snatched it up because they saw a good thing.
It's going to Netflix?
Took it. Yeah, it's going to air this year on Netflix.
Nice. Because that reminded me so much of Chalk Zone, actually.
Oh, totally. The style, like the face. Yeah, no, I totally feel you. It's going to be such a good show.
And these are all on YouTube, guys. Like, go watch these. Like, it's
they're like 8 minutes long each. They're really good.
It's because part of me is like, I don't want to watch something if I know that there's not going to be a full show after. But at the same time, it's like, because stuff like Infinity Train obviously wants to be a full show.
Absolutely.
Welcome to My Life works great as a standalone. Forever 12 works as just a random episode. Victor and Valentino, not so much. But, I mean, it's fine on its own, but you can tell it wants to be a full show, and a more serialized show at that. Same with Infinity Train.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
So, let's talk about Infinity Train, because...
let's do it.
I mean, I think we were all kind of worried when they announced Adventure Time was ending, and we know Steven's still going, but there was a time where we thought Steven might be ending soon, and Gumball was ending soon.
Yeah, people have been worried Steven was going to end since the first season, though.
Not
Everyone's
wrong.
been so scared, which is, like, understandably. Like, I was there. I remember. I was scared, too. But Steven's doing great now. It's very, very well received.
I lived through the Danny Phantom cancellation. I always fear when a show gets good that it's going to end. But, yeah, I think that when Infinity Train happened, everyone was like, okay, Cartoon Network still got it. Because I think that's... we talk about these kind of eras. We were talking about that earlier.
Yes.
Like, the original era of, like, Johnny Bravo, stuff like that. You have the mid-2000s era, your Chowder, Flapjack, Foster's Home era. The Adventure Time regular show era. With Gumball thrown in there towards the end of it as we shifted into, like, Steven Universe, We Bear Bears, Summer Camp Island, and now
Craig
kind
of
of...
the Creek.
Yeah, Craig of the Creek, OKKO, like, the current era. And I think stuff like Infinity Train and Victor and Valentino is going to be kind of leading the charge. And both of those are this year, correct?
Yes, they are both this year.
Yeah. And, because Infinity Train, to me, I saw that pilot and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where I personally lost a little faith in Cartoon Network. And that was a time when 80% of any given day was Teen Titans Go.
So, what year? Can you put a year on that?
2016?
Whoa, really?
Beginning of 2017, maybe?
Wow.
Like,
right.
I mean, Steven was still going, and Steven was good.
Yeah.
Adventure Time was still going, stuff like that was still going, but, like, you turned on Cartoon Network, and it was probably Teen Titans Go. It was the SpongeBob problem.
So in terms of, like, what was on TV, you were losing faith.
Yeah, the fact that it was like 80% of any given, it felt,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm one of the people who likes Teen Titans Go more than other people. Like,
yeah, no, Teen Titans Go is pretty funny. I've had to watch so much of it. It's pretty funny, and they'll teach you things. There are entire episodes about real estate or like
pyramid
old
scheme
pioneers.
episode is amazing.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Have you seen the Oregon Trail episode?
Yes, no,
It's called "You Have Died of Dysentery."
It's so funny, and they all want to die because they're so sick of being pioneers, except for Robin. It's a genuinely very funny show.
But yeah, like I knew that Cartoon Network was making good shows because like Steven Universe existed, but it kind of felt like, oh, they don't care anymore. Like they just want the money. Like, you know, I hit that point of cynicism.
I feel like you weren't alone there. Like that's definitely, if you went on Tumblr, Twitter, you definitely got that sense that some people were very frustrated with what was being aired more consistently.
Yeah. And then it was stuff like Forever 12, Welcome to My Life, Infinity Train being uploaded where I was like, okay, we're going to be okay. Because I was worried that, you know, regular show at that point was ending. Adventure Time had like one season left. Steven was living on a wing and a prayer, as it always kind of is. Gumball had been announced that it was going to be ending pretty soon, and I was like, is it just going to be Teen Titans Go all day? Like, is it just going to be Teen Titans Go and then Unikitty? Like, is that going to be it? I mean, I like Unikitty more,
Unikitty's
but
good too.
Unikitty's cute, but like, I was worried that it would be like 2 shows all day, and that was all they'd be doing, and they would just rest on that. And then these pilots started coming out, and I'm like, okay, I have faith again. Like, they made me believe the same way that What a Cartoon started the first wave. You know, we were going to be alright.
Yeah, just in terms of, like, fresh, creative, new, interesting content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's one thing when they're like, obviously, even if they never put them online, they would be making these kinds of things. They're always doing pilots, they're always doing new concepts.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it we don't hear about till later. Like, there was supposed to be a K&D spin-off, Galactic Kids Next Door.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Did you ever see the Kids Next Door finale?
No, I don't know if I did. I was a kiddo. I caught a lot of that show, but I certainly haven't seen every episode.
Spoiler for over 10 years ago. Number one ends up recruited into the Galactic Kids Next Door and joins like an inner like space Kids Next Door. Like that's the finale.
Wow.
It's
okay.
It's got some plot twist. It's really, really good. And they were gonna actually make a Galactic Kids Next Door, and it never happened, unfortunately. But you know, we find out this stuff years and years later. Imagine if we had like seen a pilot. I don't know if a pilot ever got made, but. And that's another thing is lost media. Like, do you know how many lost pilots there are at this point?
No, 200, my guess.
We don't know, and that's the problem. Like, there's so many things that are just missing, and when they take the time and put these shorts out there, it not only lets us see what we could be getting as a full show soon and give feedback as to what we want as a full show, it means that in 20 years' time, where we're like, hey, where's the first short that this creator did? You know, we're not having to dig through an archive to find it.
Yeah. You brought up a really good point when you said that, like, you know, viewers can give feedback because I don't necessarily think this is inside information, so I feel comfortable sharing it. But, like, a big part of the reason Infinity Train was made is because of how huge that pilot did online. It did such gangbusters numbers. And to be clear, like, this wasn't kind of all age groups necessarily responding to it tenfold, but especially people maybe like around our age, Justin, were just over like a limited amount, but a very vocal amount of people were so into that pilot. It really did kind of, you know, give CN an idea of, oh, well, maybe there's something here. And if it hadn't done those numbers and people hadn't been talking about it so much, I don't think it would have been made. Like, I really don't. So sometimes, yeah, like if you do put things online and people see them, that's a really good indication that something could happen for you.
I
because
mean,
if
the
nobody
Deadpool
knows
footage
about
leaking.
What happened
The
there?
Deadpool test footage leaked in like 2012. It was probably Ryan Reynolds. And when that or 2014, whenever it was, years are weird. Point is, test footage of Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool suit leaked, and that's what led to the Deadpool movie happening.
Really? Oh, that's great.
Everyone seeing this leaked footage and being like, oh, I wish that movie happened, and Fox being like, quick, get Ryan now. Like,
yeah!
And, ultimately, it's just a more organic version of what they did with Billy and Mandy and K&D of, we're going to air 8 shorts, you call in and vote, and tell us which one you like the most, and we'll make that a show. It's just more organic.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. This is the revamped current model of that. Instead of calling in from a TV thing, you just leave comments on YouTube. It's totally the next gen version of that. That's such a good point.
It is. Wow. We've really, I think at this point we've really come full circle. Like, this idea of, let's just make some weird stuff, put it out to people, and see what happens. That's what started Cartoon Network as not just reruns. That's what made our childhood. Was so that true. Thought philosophy. And so many good shows have been made that way. And I think it's really important to continue doing, and I think it's been great to see how it's grown and how we've gone from, Powerpuff Girls era to now where, I don't know if Infinity Train would have been made otherwise, if not for just people really wanted to see it. And imagine if it only went in front of a couple focus groups and the focus groups didn't like it.
And that's the thing too, like, it makes you wonder, for all those shows that weren't in these creative incubator projects, like, how did Flapjack get made? How did Steven get, like, well, I know how Steven got made, but, like, so you have, on the one hand, these people who are put into this, collection of other people who are told to make a thing that they air with the opportunity to get a show. And then you have other people who are, storyboarders, writers of current shows that are kind of pulled aside and asked, hey, we're looking for more pitches, pitch us something. And that kind of gets made regardless of viewer input. How do they balance those two things, do you think?
I think that's one of those things where, because I don't know how many people, I don't know how many shows, like, they aim to produce a year, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what their goal is, but I have a feeling that they do look at both sources and they do kind of balance it of, well, we really like this person's, and I mean, part of it comes down to, you can have as many people pitch as you want. Right. You don't have to pick it up, but you can have as many people pitch as you want. Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, I'm that random guy who has no connection, but I assume, they're constantly having pitches happen.
Oh,
I mean, it's the same thing with anyone else. Like, so much happens that we as the average consumer do not see. I mean, you see more than I do, Michelle, but
even so, yeah.
Exactly. Like, and that's the thing. And that's what I love about projects like What a Cartoon and the Cartoon Network Minis is it gives the average consumer a chance to see a little bit more.
And it gives them a little more control, too, because, right, like we're saying, you can leave a comment, you can share it. If you like it, you can try to get more people exposed. You can also comment and share it, and you can start a whole movement around something as niche as Infinity Train and make it, I mean, and again, like, I do feel like cartoons taking a leap with Infinity just in terms of it's so outside our normal target demographic. And again, like, I don't know the entire how Adult Swim became its own thing after it first started with cartoon. Yeah, because they're experimenting with age difference and then eventually
coast to coast.
Yeah, and then eventually, like, it became so big, it kind of became its own thing, and now it's, like, it's called Adult Swim. Clearly it's for, like, teens to adults to enjoy, and cartoon is, again, kind of drifted back into being this very kid-centered zone, but now Infinity Train is kind of pushing those parameters a little more.
Even stuff like, what was it? Regular Show was pushing
Totally. Yeah.
There was a rumor for a while, and obviously if I'm right on the money and you can't tell me, don't tell me. But there was a rumor that there was going to be a new block called Adult Swim Junior. Have you ever heard of this?
No! Why would they call it on Adult Swim Junior, that just makes you think of Nick Jr., which is
exactly.
like
It was
preschool.
it was a play on like that's what it was a play on, but it was basically aiming the notion had a lot of people were speculating, what if this is going to be like a preteen block?
Okay, the immediate problem with that is anyone who's a preteen, if they see something called Junior, they're gonna think,
Exactly.
I'm not a baby, I'm not watching that.
Exactly.
So that'd be really bad marketing.
Oh, exactly. But it's the same idea of what they're doing of, like, because we all thought that's where Infinity Train would go, and that's where Season 6 of Teen Titans would go, if it happens.
Oh, huh.
Which, I mean, now let's be real, if it happens, it's going to DC Universe, but... But at the time, there wasn't a DC Universe. And because there's been things of where they have been pushing the line, and I think Infinity Train...
Totally.
It's not going to push the line the same way that Robotomy did, but I mean, that was from the creator of Super Jail. Like, that was just...
Right.
That was only going to work out so well.
It's starting the conversation of, can we be targeting different groups of people and still maintain our integrity as the Cartoon Network? What does Cartoon Network basically mean? What is our new brand in 2019? And I think that's a really important conversation we honestly should be having. So, and again, like, things like Over the Garden Wall, they're good. They're particular, right? And they don't scream like for kids. There are certainly things kids can latch onto, but there's definitely stuff for older kids too, like older teenagers in that show. And I feel like Infinity Train in some way kind of owes it to Over the Garden Wall being so successful as a miniseries and being so different from our normal lineup to being able to exist. Because like things proving to do well help other things be given a chance, essentially, is what I think.
Exactly. And I think, like I said, I'd almost given up on Cartoon Network because I knew if I turned on the channel, I was getting Teen Titans Go. And at the time, I didn't want that. Even if they did put these shorts, like, air them at like 7:45 or something like they did with What a Cartoon, I wasn't going to be watching because I wasn't turning on Cartoon Network in the first place. And I think a lot of what they're targeting with stuff like Infinity Train, I'll turn on Cartoon Network to watch Steven. I'll turn on Cartoon Network to watch Adventure Time, Craig of the Creek, KO, but it's very specific. Like, I'm going to Cartoon Network now for very specific things. I'm not just watching Cartoon Network. I am on YouTube a lot, though.
Yeah.
And I follow them on YouTube. I'm subscribed. So I see when they post stuff like this, and I'll watch that. And I think that's where our age group is. And even, like, the preteen teen group, that's where they're gonna be.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly where they need to be aiming these shorts, is on YouTube. If you want to re-air them on TV, please, like, do like a mini film festival night, please do that, but I think that they're great on YouTube because I think that they're going to get the audience they need.
Well, that's like you're saying, that's where the eyeballs are, and people have more consistency, I feel, on YouTube now than they do with a lot of on-air programming. And I will say, it's hard to have on-air programming for any major network right now. It's a very tumultuous time, and I know people like have a lot of feelings about Teen Titans Go, but they don't put Teen Titans Go on the air because they hate all their other shows. It's that's not why. It's just because Teen Titans Go has proven to have really good ratings, and like,
yes.
You know, I can't speak for the network. I can only speak for my personal experience. And I think there are issues of just, you know, if something has proven to do well, you want to air it more, but then kids expect that show. So of course they're going to tune in for that show if there aren't other shows, and it becomes kind of a chicken and egg situation. But I mean, yeah, I do think putting more things on YouTube is a very good goal for Cartoon. And I remember, like, very early first 2 seasons of Steven, Cartoon Network didn't really put clips officially on YouTube. It was all just fans putting episodes and clips on YouTube. And it took them till a couple years ago to really catch on. And now they release a lot more just like 2 to 3 minute clips of all kinds of shows, and those clips do really good numbers wise. So I think they are kind of like starting to figure out, like, oh yeah, there's a significant audience on social media. We should be tapping into that more. But they still have to deal with TV stuff, so it's hard to figure out what to do there too. It's a tumultuous time.
It's weird, yeah, because and we're seeing it not just in animation, we're seeing it across the board.
Any major network.
Look at CBS. They're hedging their bets. Yeah, they have new original shows airing, but then they have their streaming service, so they're making their own shows that don't even air on their own channel right now.
Exactly.
That Twilight Zone reboot's gonna be so good, Michelle.
I'm so excited, with Jordan Peele at the helm. It's gonna be so good. I cannot wait.
And then David Fincher has a new adult animated anthology coming to Netflix March 15th. Love, Death, and Robots.
Okay, that sounds like a fun time.
Another one of these, we're just gonna throw a whole bunch of shorts at the wall and see what happens.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you gotta do.
I wanted to focus on Cartoon Network, but I think we've really gotten into, we talked about others. I would love to go back and do if you liked this pilot, we'll do a Nickelodeon one. No,
I want to.
You'd be surprised. Nickelodeon did quite a bit as well. They did the Nicktoons Film Festival for a few years. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing now, though, is the problem.
And this is the thing, right? I always, I feel bad. I watched more Nick than I did Cartoon Network as a child. But, I feel like the good thing about Cartoon is because, unlike Disney or Nick, it doesn't have any live action. I mean, they had a very short-lived live action attempt somewhere in the mid-2000s.
2009 to 2011 called CN Real.
The Dark Ages, but the thing is, they are pure cartoons are their bread and butter. They're not super interested in doing live action, and I think that's helped them. They don't really reboot as many shows as Disney and Nick. They really? Let people create new stuff.
They don't reboot.
Not as much, certainly.
Teen Titans, Powerpuff,
That's 2 shows.
Total Drama That's not them, though. That's Fresh TV.
Yeah, we're just airing it. Not to the same extent. I mean, think about how many original shows we have versus Nickelodeon. And Nickelodeon, I do think, it's great that they're bringing all these shows back and giving them new life. But also, I mean, I think there's something too, society is different now. The expectations of animation are different now. The kinds of shows that are shaping our culture are different now. And being able to contribute to that in a new way that isn't necessarily tied to no property, I think is very important. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something Cartoon has been very invested in with these shorts programs. And that makes me very excited for their future as one of the top, children's company production.
The fact that today Cartoon Network is not afraid to put out something like Welcome to My Life gives me hope, because it's
weird, but it's great. Yeah,
it's not something you'd expect from them. Nothing happens.
Yeah, on one hand, nothing really does happen.
But that's the thing, is it's not action oriented, and a lot of Cartoon Network shows have been action oriented. That's just the nature of the beast. There are exceptions. Foster's Home being my personal favorite. That's
Summer Camp too, I guess, to some extent.
Summer Camp Island, definitely.
Yeah.
Summer Camp Island, Craig of the Creeks.
Craig of the Creek, yeah.
But nothing. It's just a guy walking around school. That's it.
Love it.
But it's so good, and the fact that they're willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
I want to see what other projects get put in front of them that they're willing to take those risks on, and. Yeah, I have hope looking into the rest of 2019 and beyond into 2020.
Yeah, it's going to be so interesting, Justin.
I hope so. I'm excited. Yeah. Alright, well guys, you can find all the info on this podcast, including when we talk about these shows as they come out, because you better believe we will be covering Infinity Train and Victor and Valentino probably when that airs. You can find all the info at overlyanimated.com. If you want to talk more about these shorts and anything animation, really, right now you can join us on Discord to text chat about animation at overlyanimated.com/discord. Support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Damien, aka Diamond Day. And thanks as always to our Patreon executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Hugh. And thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye!
Bye!